What's up, everyone? Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Paris and I make videos all about candle making and the starting and managing of my small candle business, LadyCIMONNE Candle Co. As a business owner, or if you're aspiring to start a small business, revenue is simply not just about how many candles or wax melts you've sold. It's actually a calculation involved in that process determining that revenue. And that includes how much it costs you to make your product versus how much you sell it for. So today we are going to talk about cost of goods sold and give you a little overview of that. So let's just get started. As a candle maker, we are buying a bunch of raw materials and supplies to make our final product, right? Last week, we hit on inventory and we talked about the different categories of inventory, those different components and what all goes into inventory. So when it comes to cost of goods sold, what we're doing is we're moving those inventory items, making our finished product, which is then moved to our cost of goods at category. So when you're buying all of these raw supplies and materials to make your final product, some of those items will stay on the shelf, right? Because they're still raw supplies and materials. So you may not use all of your wax that day. So that stays in the inventory category. But then once you make your final product, your candles, your wax melts, that will shift to the cost of goods category once those items are sold. So now let's break down what all goes into cost of goods sold. Here is your cost of goods sold formula. Cost of goods sold equals beginning inventory plus purchases during that period minus ending inventory. Your beginning inventory is usually zero when you first start your business, right? Because this is your first year of business. But every year after that, your beginning inventory will be your ending inventory number from last year. So when you close out your inventory year, you will then use that same number for your beginning inventory of your new year. Your materials and supplies. Those are all of your raw materials and supplies that you have purchased throughout the year. We've hit on this last week. And so you take all that you've been purchasing throughout the year and you get that total number and you want to add that to your beginning inventory. Your inventory available for sale. So this is pretty much anything that you got lying around at your house, wherever you make your candles. That's just lying around waiting to be sold or be used for your final product. So that is your finished goods, your work in progress, or just your raw materials and supplies. Then if you take that amount and subtract it out from your cost of goods sold, which we know is the cost of your finished goods that did sell in your current year, you are left with your ending inventory, which is pretty much any raw supplies or materials, work in progress materials or candles or any finished products that are still left on the shelf that did not sell that year. That is your ending inventory for the year. And then when the following year roll around, you would use that ending inventory number as your beginning inventory number for the new year. In regards to taxes, I am actually in my first tax year. I've mentioned this several times. When it comes to your ending inventory, this is where you really want to do a full count of everything that is left that did not sell that year. So that way you can have an accurate ending inventory amount for when you file your taxes. But then also that accuracy of that number will be for your beginning inventory. You will know exactly where you are and how you're starting your new year off with your business. So how do you track cost of goods sold? So I'm gonna just tell you how I do it and how I've learned to do it. You all know that I use Paper and Sparks spreadsheet. I use their inventory handmade seller spreadsheet. I love it. I've been using it. This is my first business year. So I've been using it really not too long after I started my business, like summer-ish, end of summer. And so it's really been helpful. All the helpful tutorials and videos to get me get my business on that spreadsheet have been A1 and helpful. And so from using that spreadsheet, I've found that her method of logging and tracking cost of goods sold on a per product basis is a lot easier. Why? Because I'm able to figure out how much I'm spending on all of my raw materials and supplies to make my final product throughout the year. So anytime I place an order for supplies or anything that goes into me producing and manufacturing my candles and wax melts, I am tracking that on a per product basis. This also helps me accurately price my candles. So she has in that spreadsheet a tab where you are able to plug in your numbers to accurately price your candles. So with using that spreadsheet, I actually realized I was not charging enough for my product when I originally launched my business. And so I've actually since then increased the price of my candles. Now going through my rebranding with LadyCIMONNE, I'm super excited about that. I am now ordering the new packaging and items that I'll be using for my rebranding and new products and things like that. I am going to use her sheet so I can make sure that I am accurately pricing my candles to a point where I can make a profit. Not that I haven't been making a profit with what I'm doing now, but I wasn't originally, and I did not know that. So when you are tracking on a per product basis, everything that you're buying that goes into that final candle, that final wax melt, clamshell, whatever, anything that goes into that, it is important that you are charging accordingly, so that you can make a profit and bring money into your business to then reorder, but also have some money left in the business. So basically, when I make a batch of candles or a batch of wax melts, I go to my spreadsheet and I go ahead and I have all of my candle scents listed out, all of my wax melt scents listed out. And I put them on the two separate tabs. And if you have purchased the spreadsheet or thinking about purchasing the spreadsheet, she breaks all of this down, but I'm just giving you a rough overview of how I track my cost of goods. And so what I do is throughout the year, as I make my new scents or replenish my inventory, I'm simply just adding together all of the products or raw supplies that it took to get that final candle. And there is a formula that she has in her tutorials to help you do that. And so I'm simply just taking all the supplies, everything that I use to make my final candle, my final wax melt, and I'm simply adding that all together to get to get my cost of goods made. And then as I replenish my inventory and continue to make that same scent or continue to make each of those scents, I simply just increase how much I have been making throughout the year. So if I made a batch of candles today and decide to make 6 more candles next week, I'm going to add all my raw supplies and materials to get how much it costs to make that final candle. And then I'm going to simply just increase how much I've been making of that particular scent each time. So I would then put 6 there, and then next week I will add another 6. So it is increasing how much I've been making that year of that particular scent, how much it costs for me to make it throughout that year, and everything. It tracks it for you. There's built-in formulas for you. It's a true time saver, and it definitely releases those headache tensions when trying to figure out what the heck you're doing. And so then every month, as a part of my bookkeeping task, which we've had that series talk already, I go back through and I do a count of how many candles I have left, how many wax melts do I have left, how much wax do I have left, how much fragrance oils do I have left. I go back through and just kind of make sure my numbers are as accurate as possible throughout the year. I do that each month because what you don't want to do is come to the end of the year when you have to do a full final count and it's tedious and all of that stuff. You can have your numbers pretty much up to date, and all you have to do is just finalize that inventory sheet so you can get that ending inventory number and turn it in with your tax stuff. Now, why is cost of goods sold important for tax time? So pretty much all your tax preparer or accountant want to know is how much you sold throughout the year and what your ending inventory is, your cost of goods sold by the end of the year. But in order to do that, you would have needed to know how much in supplies and materials and raw supplies and stuff you've purchased throughout the year in order to even get that calculation. And so that's why, number one, it's critical to understand how much it's costing you to make each product with all of your raw supplies and materials, and keeping track of that and logging that throughout the year will help you when it comes time to file your taxes. As a small business owner, when it comes time to file your taxes, you will be using a Schedule C. It's a tax form that pretty much reports your revenue throughout that year, and you attach it to your 1040. So basically, at least what I've been learning from my accountant so far, that tax form is pretty much going to ask you to solve for your cost of goods sold. That's pretty much what it's going to ask you. And so if you've been tracking that throughout the year, because clearly it's a calculation, like that's what I've been learning throughout this year. It's a formula, it's a strategy in getting that number. And so if you've been tracking that throughout the year, come time the end of the year, you pretty much have just about an accurate idea on what those final ending numbers will look like. And then all you have to do before you finalize that ending year, December 31st or January 1st of the new year, all you have to do is pretty much just do a full final count of what all you have left in your shop or your home or wherever you're at or wherever you store everything, to make sure that everything lines up. Then your cost of goods sold gets deducted against your business profits, okay? And it reduces your tax bill. Boom. So when I learned that from my accountant, I was like, oh, I see now. I see why it's important. It lowers your tax bill. Hello, as a business owner, that's a bomb. That's what I'm looking forward to. So it's already expensive enough, right? Being a business owner, owning a business, you're purchasing things day in and day out, trying to keep your inventory levels right. You're trying to make sure you're charging enough. This is why it's critical to price your products accordingly. This is why it's critical to go ahead and set up things like a bookkeeping system. Go ahead and set up an inventory software or use a spreadsheet. Go ahead and begin putting these elements in place, so that way as you're creating your businesses this year, or if you've already started a candle business and you're in operation right now, your end of the year won't be such a headache. It won't be such a hassle trying to figure out what your tax preparer or accountant is even talking about. And so that's one of the reasons why I went on and invested in this spreadsheet, because I'm like, if she can literally teach me exactly what I need to do to not only get my business on that spreadsheet from where I'm currently, the state I am currently, but she can also help me close out my year effectively, then start my new year, right on key. Like I'm starting off fresh, I'm starting off good. So that's why it's not only important for tax time, but it's important for you as a business owner to understand the comings and goings of your business. So before we close out this video, I did want to mention something just in case my Lady C fam out there is probably thinking about it. I get questions quite often, so I just try to clear up as much as I can in my videos. Now, just inventory, like several topics when it comes to first starting your business, it's controversial. It's a gray area. And it sucks because you want to make sure you're doing what you're supposed to do as a small business owner. So on this side of the fence, there are those, including tax preparers and accountants. And I've learned this from my accountant. There are those handmade sellers, makers, or small business owners or small entrepreneurs that think because I'm a new small business owner, I don't even have that much inventory, I don't even sell that much, it's not required for me to track my cost of goods sold throughout the year. I don't have to, worry about that. My accountant has even had examples where they just chose not to track it at all, or they simply just probably wasn't aware or didn't know how and just didn't feel like exuding the energy to figure things out. And so you have that side, and then you have this side where there are tax preparers and accountants like mine who definitely encourages and urges the fact that the IRS, it's important, and the IRS, you know, expects you as a business owner to take accountability for your business and properly track your items throughout the year. Is it required, or do they make you, or things like that? No, they're not about to come knock on your door and making sure you're counting every month. But because those numbers require accuracy for those tax forms, because you want to do your due diligence, because you want to make sure you are being an honest and transparent business owner with what you're making, what you're selling, how much you're making, how much you're paying yourself if you're at that level, and things like that. It's important to just properly log. And my accountant looked at me and just said, just log it, just track it. If you don't know, learn, right? If you don't know, seek out help. You're watching YouTube, right? You're getting an idea. I'm encouraging you to invest in a platform, a software. If you want to do Crafty Base, do that. I'm encouraging you to invest in a spreadsheet, one-time cost. Or if you're that accountant savvy, or if your accountant or tax preparer has time, let them help you set up your own spreadsheet, and compensate them for that. Whatever works for you, do it. So my accountant encourages, so you have that side over here where people, including your tax preparer or accountant or other candle makers like myself, encourages you to go ahead and take the time to learn, log, track, and all of that stuff. Figure it out. Figure out how to properly price your candles, so that way come time the end of the year, you're not hassling and trying to figure out what the heck do I put on this tax form. Your accountant or tax preparer is asking you these questions and you have no answer to them, and they can't help you unless you come to them at least with half the meat on the table. So I definitely want to urge you. It is a controversial topic. You know, we all network and talk to many different candle makers and business owners out there. So we tend to hear different things. We bite off of different trees, right? And that's okay, right? We you know, a lot of us, we do our research, we kind of develop our own knowledge and our own assumption, and that's totally fine. But I'm here on this channel to encourage what I've, you know, and tell you what I've learned, the trial and error that I've learned, and how I've kicked myself in the butt, and what I'm doing now to take the necessary steps to have an even better year. I'm going on my 1 year of business. I'm trying to make some more money. I'm trying to sell even more candles. I have goals. I have things that I want to do and people that I want to reach with my story, with my business, with my scents, and everything else that I plan on releasing. So if I can start now as early as possible, getting things in line and set up properly so my business is operating as it should, as a true boss, I'm going to do it. And I'm encouraging you to do the same. Therefore, I hope you've enjoyed this video. I'm done yapping. And next week, we are closing out our 3-part series. I hope you all have enjoyed this. The response that I've gotten with the views haven't been as responsive, but I know that many of you wanted these topics. So I said, what the heck? Forget the views. I'm helping those who want to truly learn and understand these topics, because they want to do things, you know, right and accurate. They want to set their businesses up right. And so I did not mind doing these videos for y'all. And so next week, close out our 3-part series, and we are going to talk about pricing your products. So stay tuned for that. I hope you enjoyed this video, and until next time, bye.